What up, family? What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Father to Father podcast, where we take deep dives into fatherhood through meaningful conversation. Me and my pop are your hosts, and each episode we'll get into the role men play as fathers. Whether you're a single dad, co parenting, or going through the court system, you're in the right place to get new perspectives and stories. So join us on this journey and let's discuss what makes fatherhood so rewarding.
Child deal with. Okay. This thing, we'll try to give you some information that's going to be helpful for fathers who are raising their children. There's some information that point you in the right direction.
There's a lot of us out there, regardless of whatever statistics that may be misleading. It's a lot of single fathers out there, and that even if you not even the have sole custody of the kids, you could use some of this stuff.
Yeah,
you can use
co-parenting.
Co-parenting.
The child don't have to suffer because the parents didn't get along well.
They should not. Absolutely.
They have to suffer.
They should not.
These are some challenging situations for parents or fathers anyway. And like I said, we're gonna try to point you in the right direction so you can get some help. Other resources out here for you. And like dealing with relationship with a co-parent. That in itself, because they're probably angry at each other.
Absolutely.
Angry at each other.
Yep.
So you have to try to have a better relationship for the benefit of the child. And
can I add something to that? With
sure.
that being said, fellas, we got to do a better job at that. With what I'm getting at, it may not resonate with some of y'all, but if you're not in a relationship with your co-parent, stop sleeping with her. For real, because that's not good. That is not good. Feelings get involved. And I don't speak for females, but for men, it takes a little bit of you when you sleep with somebody. It's hard to not have some emotion go behind that. Like, I get it, just laying around, like people do that all the time. But when there's kids involved, your main focus should be being the best parent you could be, and having a decent, not even necessarily the best, but a good relationship with their mom. So, for me, I was just like, I was pretty, like, I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't going back. Now that I'm in a relationship now, so that's definitely a no. But I'm not going back, even if I wasn't. We're not doing that. It happened. We have a kid now because of it, but we can't keep going back to that. To me, that's just not good. Emotions get involved, especially with women. It takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? And when you play around with them like that, you're not serious. Then they like, what could they expect from you as far as being there for your child when you're halfway in and halfway out, or they feel like the only reason why you come around your kid is because you want to sleep with the mom.
right.
Those kind of fellas, we got to do a better job at that. If you ain't with her, stop sleeping with her.
And for the fathers, you're gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices, especially on that social life.
Yeah.
You gotta give that up. You're gonna have to make those sacrifices. You can't continue to do the things that you were doing socially and neglect the child. So you had to give up that. That was one of my challenges as well. I said, I got to stop doing this in order for my child or children to be a better person. So you got to give up that social life. I mean, I'm not saying it's not don't go out.
Ever.
You need some downtime. You need some downtime. But you can't overindulge in social life.
Yeah, no. Yeah, your social life comes absolutely last when you got kids.
Right.
It's almost like you don't get one, but like I said, you need that. Like you said, that downtime. But yeah, that downtime can't be all the time.
You got to put the child first.
Yeah, you got to put them first.
Put the child first, because they don't have anyone to turn to at this point.
Nor did they ask to be here.
Right.
So, like that, you can't fail them when they in the first place didn't ask to be here.
Well, none of us asked to be
here. None of us. Yeah, none of us. We're here. And somebody took care of us to get to this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you have to balance that and work and family.
Yeah.
Broken family.
Yes.
But you need that job.
What you said that when did you get it about the social life? When did that?
I woke up one morning and I said, wow, I got to stop doing this because my children are looking at me now. Only at me for the only thing to support them, make sure they had food, clothing, and shelter. I just couldn't get up and go when I wanted to go.
Right.
So it popped at me real strong. Real strong. I said, hey, I can't do this.
I was definitely looking.
Right.
I don't blame you at all for what I later grew into as far as how I treated women. Not that I was horrible to them, but again I was young and I was just going through them, and I just thought that's what it was. I had a daddy who was a player, so that's what I thought. That's what it was supposed to be like. That's what I thought. My daddy did it, so as we referred to it in our family, you had your barman license.
Right.
But he's definitely correct about that. I was looking, and I apologize to any of those women that may feel like I did them wrong or hurt them because I was just moving along, and I knew where it was coming from, but again, there was no way that I wasn't talking or getting these things out to where I was like I seen this, so this is what I know. Like, and again, it is to no fault of to you at all because you provided. Like I said, I was just watching that again, and you without knowing. That's why I grew into him pretty without putting any effort into it. It just happened.
And one last thing through all of this, it said, this too shall pass. All these things are gonna pass.
Yeah.
Once you get a handle on the situation, you have to give up certain things in order to get certain things.
Absolutely.
It'll be a struggle. It won't be easy now. Because raising a child is difficult for a two-parent family.
Yes, absolutely. For one. Yeah, you need that village. You need the village regardless, but for one, you definitely got to kind of lean into your support system a little bit more because you count on them, especially when it comes to things like, hey, can you watch them for a little minute while I try to get this done? Or earlier with me and Christina, it was like trying to find some time to sleep because Lewis would just be up and just whenever, you know what I'm saying? And you could say, yeah, sleep with the baby, but sometimes, it's hard to cut that mind off and just let yourself rest. I got to get this done. I got to get, now that they sleep, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And again, technically you have 18 years, but it's a lifetime. So just consider that when you're thinking about, I got to get this done. You're going to have a house you're going to have to clean up every single day with kids. So you could just get used to that. There's never going to be a perfect house. That's one of those things that I just had to not necessarily give up on because I sweep at least twice a day. I mop at least 3 times a week as opposed to when I didn't have kids. I could just set a day aside once a week and do it with sweeping. It just depends on what you got. But again, like when you by yourself, those are things that you don't think about when you get kids, like the luxury of just saying one day, I need to wash my dishes. Like when you got kids, it's like, well, you can't just put those dishes, you can't just start washing dishes. You got a child that's moving, especially like my son. Lewis is busy, man.
Especially if you got more than one kid.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah.
No rest.
Yeah, none. I won't put it like you won't get sleep at all. You'll get there, but when they're young like that, it's a process. Yeah, it's a process. Like I definitely agree with that. This too shall pass. It has gotten better now that Lewis sleeps almost all the way through the night. He gets up only at 5:30 because he knows I'm getting up, getting ready for work. But if I wasn't, then he'd probably be still asleep.
Yeah. And being a father can be rewarding just as well as it can be challenging.
It's true. Another one of those true statements. I thought, not necessarily those words, but I think about that all the time. Like when I'm teaching my kids stuff, and it's like they look like it's just a hard to, not hard, but I think about like, wow, I'm somebody's dad now, and they're looking at me to teach them, but they don't realize how much they've taught me, like how much and Dad, you probably attest to this because you're my dad, like you've seen me go from being immature to like now you got a job now. This is what comes next. You get your car, you get your house, you get the family, you saw that.
Responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that I was just completely irresponsible, but I definitely was not where I am now. And I think a lot of that has to do with knowing that them surviving, not necessarily surviving, but being well off, I have to come home and I have to take care of things. Like those, like you said, certain things you got to give up, and I definitely, I ain't gonna say I'm giving it all up. It's not that I do a lot, but you know I game and stuff like that. But you know, it's definitely some give and take with it, and it gets better. It definitely gets better, and you, like you said, it's very rewarding now when I see when I come home and Lewis is running and waiting for me at the door. Like I ain't never had that in my life. A kid who is like ready for me to be at home. That's probably one of the best rewards that I've gotten, to know that I'm loved by them. Like, you know, regardless of whatever I went through outside of that front door, when I come in this house, they like daddy. Like he home.
That is a reward.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that.
Okay.
Some advice you would like to give some fathers out there? Something you think that they can use right now? Not that you got to be legal. Just something that you want somebody that you feel like somebody should hear.
Be honest with your child. That's the best way I can find. Be honest. Give them some spiritual directions. They need that. But I think the honesty thing is the most important thing with them, because you don't want them to grow up living a lie.
Right.
Living a lie. But that honesty goes a long way. And be truthful with them. Those are some things I think that will last a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that honesty.
Agreed.
Be honest and give them some spiritual guidance.
Nothing wrong with that. Not at all. And again, we get it that everybody's not going to be into the spirituality thing, but it's always good to have a good base of something that you believe in. I mean, it's always good to have to build your foundation on something. You know, it's always good to do that when you want something solid. What's something that you wish somebody would have told you when you started having kids?
Oh boy. Don't have it. But they hear and love them. You know, treat your kids nice. You know, it's kind of hard to say. Some good advice there. I just, you know, even once they were here, love them. You got to love them. That's the only thing I can say. Love your children. Like you said, they didn't ask to come here.
Right.
But they're here.
They're here.
So love them. Shower them with love. Spoil them, whatever you want to say.
I definitely am the parent that spoils the kids. I get told every time I go to the store, they don't need nothing. Don't come back with nothing.
Right.
Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it.
You love on your child and don't love on somebody, and it may not be the person you want to.
Right, exactly, right.
From and show them something completely different that's not going to benefit them in the long run.
I'll add to that. It was right down the tip of my tongue with the love thing. Definitely important to show them that you love them. Like I tell my kids every single day, I love you. Like one of the what I'm tying that into is I want to say LeVar Ball. A lot of people give him a hard time because he put his kids up on the pedestal. But just think of what they feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to tell me I'm the best, because The person I grew up in the house with and I see every day, he done already told me that. Like, and it don't get no better than, like, you can tell, it can walk out the door, you can tell me, oh, you suck at basketball. But because of this person who I believe in and who I watched set the example for me, he told me every single day of my life that you can do this and you are going to be the best at it. I believe that. Like, and that's very important. That's the love thing. Like, LeVar Ball is, if I ever get the opportunity to grow this platform and we get to sit down with some people, he is one person I definitely want to talk to. Because, like I said, I love that. And you may not like him. He might be, like, obnoxious and loud and whatever, eccentric, but you cannot take away from him the fact that he is definitely, he molded those kids and got them to where, yep, I don't need you to do it.
Blowing the horn for him.
Yep, that is very important. Very important. The person like I said, when I walked out my bedroom and brushed my teeth, and that man said you need to brush your hair, got this food for you, and before I left the house, he gave me a message to say, hey, be the best that you can do today. Be the best at whatever it is you can do. And he give you that message every single day, man. That's something that you could probably take with you a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Like I said, that kind of stuff like touches me a little bit. Like I said, because a lot of people give LeVar a hard time about how he presented his children and what he did and the TV shows and going. Like I said, somebody got to do that for the kids. Somebody got to do that. And you would if you the parent, you would much rather it be you than somebody else doing it. Because like, again, they might not be getting the message you want them to get. Very true. Another thing I want to ask you, Pop, while we on that, what do you feel like you can do better at? Like, and now, like, all your kids are grown out the house now, so it's not like you still parent because you're a parent for the rest of your life. What's something that you felt like you could do better or that you want to do better?
Open up communications with your children. You got to communicate. I think that's one thing that I didn't do as well as I could have, was communicate and try to get their point of view. You got to have, my dad used to tell me, understanding is the best thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand. So you have to communicate with them. See, there's two sides to every coin.
Mm-hmm.
So they have feelings and points of view as well. I'm not right all the time. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. But you try to communicate with your children and see and get their point of view as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can open up and you get to know or have a better relationship.
Yeah.
When you're talking and communicating with your children.
Yep. Those awkward and odd conversations, they stretch a long way. Like I said, then when you like you said, you establish it early on, then your kids they come to you with everything because we've been doing this. Like it's nothing. There's no odd or awkward now because we talked about everything. So I can come to you and let you know this is what's going on. That's good. That's good. Like I said, with me being still early on in my journey with my kids, and when I feel like I can do better, is to like with both of their moms, it's again it goes into this patience, like because I work the day. So I'm not, from 7 to 4 throughout the day, I'm not with either of my children. And I feel like sometimes when I get a message from one of their moms like, hey, so this happened at daycare or this happened at the house, and I have to catch myself and be like, well, why didn't you? You were there. Like, how did he fall when you was, or how did Ava fall, or how did Lewis fall when you was sitting right there with them watching them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how could that happen? That's something I feel like I could not necessarily. Just to call it what it is, point the finger. I could do better at taking accountability. Like like what can I do to help you? What do I need to do so that you can, if you feel like you've been with the child a long point of the day, if you need a break, what can I do to help you? That's what I feel like I could be better at. Like, not necessarily being the break giver every time out my turn, but you know, cause I'm involved all the time. But I just, like I said, the finger pointing I can do better at. Like I catch myself all the time thinking like, and I feel bad about it later. Like, man, I could have really handled that one a little better.
And accidents happen with children. You
know? Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have no control over that.
Yes. So. And that too. That too. I have to realize that as well. Like, you know, kids find a way. Yeah. They just do. Whatever you think is childproof, they will find a way.
Find a way.
That's just kids. That's very true. I got some stuff over here on the computer pop I've been looking up, get your opinion on. I don't know how long ago this was, but I probably should. I'm gonna try to do some more, be better at doing my due diligence. But this dad, I don't know where he's from, but he had a daughter going to school, and she was being bullied, and he talked to the parents about it, and it didn't change. So what he did was took his friends and they jumped the other father in front of the person who was bullying his daughter. So to like kind of like show their parents and their kid this is what bullying is. They went and jumped the dad. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that and what would you have done to handle that situation, good or bad, or just even how you feel about it.
That was a bad move, I think. Bad move. Again, he could have talked to the parents.
He did.
Talk to the parents. Go into the school resource. They have counselors there to talk with the kids about bullying. So there's other things that they could have done prior, before they even jumped on this man. That should never had happened. You know, I was just bad all the way around there.
I'm different. This is why I'm glad I got you here. Because again, I might have been with this dude. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
It was complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I'm sure now that he thinks about it now, in retrospect, he probably wishes he would have handled it another way. And I probably would have got to that point too. In the moment, that's the thing. In those heated moments, you got to try to get down to a cooler. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because he, at that point, I'm sure he was like fed up. Like, I didn't talk to the school. I went to the parents first before I went to the school and tried to get this knocked off before it got any worse. And then it just kept persisting. And he just was like, we got to show which I don't, in front of the kid, which is, yeah. But it's just, like I said, I probably would have, and my first thought would have been modern problems require modern solutions. So let's jump them and show them. That again, when I first read this, I was all for it. Like, yeah, like show them. Like that's what you told him. He told you to leave his daughter alone. But when I thought about it, it's like the example you got to set for the kids. Yeah, exactly. Regardless of how you felt about it, you got to show them that there's another way. There's alternative ways to handle things. And like I said, he probably felt like I was showing her. Like I went to go talk to the parent, and I went to the school, the guidance counselor, or I'm not sure if they even call them that anymore in schools now. But I went to try to go get this problem solved, and he felt like it wasn't getting done. So that's one thing. They use a school teacher, so I know you didn't came up and I ain't gonna say the worst because East St. Louis has gotten a lot better with the school system there. But when you talked there, it was at Eastside. It was what they called the madhouse. Like it went down at Eastside. So you probably came across some angry students, some angry parents, a lot of that stuff, you know. And it's like, what would you have done as an administrator if somebody comes to you and say this is what's going on?
It's hard for me to speak from an administrative position, but again, like I said, they have the resources within the schools now more so for bullying, you know. And our children are so fragile now. that anything could be considered bullying.
Definitely.
Could be considered
Definitely.
bullying. So you have to look at the child.
It was called character building when I was growing up. You got that happened, but times change.
So times have changed, so social media and
Definitely, cyberbullying is real. Yep.
all these things are going on. So
I just say hit the block button and you ain't gotta see that no more.
Right.
But
what is bullying? What is bullying?
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
What is
Absolutely.
bullying? So again, the resources are out there within the school systems now, and they need to utilize them to the fullest.
Mhm.
Again, the counseling. They have the resource officers within the buildings now.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, then you may have to go through the legal system.
Right.
Start pressing charges against the abuser or the bullyee.
Right.
Start pressing
But
charges.
do you do that with, like, how do you go about that when it's a kid? Because I'm trying to pull this up now. I'm trying to figure out how old the little girl was and all of that before I put something out there and not have the full spectrum. Because from my understanding, she was a young girl. Not she's not even not in double digits.
Well, they have those hearings now. They have those hearings to determine. I guess it depends on the crime. Determine whether they should be charged as a juvenile or an adult.
Or do you go after the parents in that situation? If it's a small kid, do you press charges against the parents and stuff like that?
Parents have obligation and responsibility in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
How are you raising your child? Are you teaching your child?
Right.
What are you teaching your child at home? The education begins at home. A teacher or a school is not the parent.
Mm-hmm.
The kid comes to school, you expect the kid to go there and behave.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of behavior problems are you addressing at home so the kid will know how to act when they got to school?
Right.
That kid is an extension of you.
Right.
He's representing you when they go out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're teaching it, what are you teaching the kid at home?
Right. Right.
So he's only acting out what he knows.
True story. True story.
So it starts at home. Teach them at home.
So that's a good point. It starts. They are a representation of you once they go out into the world, and even after that, they wherever they may be is a representation of what you have shown or taught them. So you definitely, like I said, now that I've it's been a couple weeks now. This was May 14th where I caught this story. So it's been a little while now. It's a couple weeks now. So like I said, when I first heard this, I was with it. Like I was like, yeah, like somebody had to learn. But then, like I said, being a parent and then thinking about what would I want for my daughter, what I want for her to see that. Yeah.
In the street fight.
Yeah. And especially when you're not defending your home or trying to keep them protected, like that's dope. And like I said, I would probably walk away from the situation and probably I would come to you honestly if I'm sitting here right now and I'm having this situation happen.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably come to you to see. Not probably, I would just because you're like my soundboard for a lot of things. I bounce off you to see what you think, but just to see what could I do, because like I said, you're a school teacher. So kind of like the administrative side of it when you get angry parents upset about something, and like what could I do to go about it? I definitely would have came to you to see it. And now thinking about it, yes, I would definitely did that. Got some couple of things before we wrap it up and get out of here.
Okay.
We got a couple of pull it up here questions that just to ask, questions to ask dads. Let me pull it up here. All right. So as a father, what would you say is your most proudest moment? And before you answer that, how many kids do you have? before you answer that.
9. 9.
So it's like I said, I know it'd be hard to kind of nail down one moment that you like, but let's just say it was something that you could say you could look back on and you were proud about.
I love to say of all the kids that I have, none of them have been incarcerated for any length of time. So I pride myself on that.
That's a good thing to be proud of. It's very good.
And to see them all grow up, to see them grow into adulthood, we losing a lot of kids at early ages of gun violence.
That was definitely my younger days when I was definitely jumping off crazy. The hot summers in the city and East St. Louis become the murder capital of such a small city.
Right.
And it becomes the murder capital in East St. of America, which is crazy. I'll never forget that summer, but I made it through.
See your children grow up into maturity and become an asset to the community, productive. They're all doing well. They're all doing well. I know they probably not think they're doing as good or better as they could, but it makes me feel good to see them to have grown up into and mature into adults, good adults, outstanding citizens in the community.
That's good to hear. For me, it is because I will say, coming up, I never sought anybody's validation but yours. I didn't care what it was. Like when I was doing good, I didn't care if my dad said he was proud of me, then I was straight. Or if I got his approval on anything, then I was straight. I didn't care about what nobody else said as long as I had his approval. So I definitely it was good to hear that your thoughts about it, about where we are now as adults. Yo, you got all your kids out the house now. You living now.
Yeah.
You living now. Before we wrap, I got one more for you.
Okay.
In what ways are you like Lewis, your dad, and what ways are you different?
Well, differently. Well, my dad was a chronic alcoholic, for one. He was he only sobered up over the week, through the weeks. To go to work. Now he kept a job. He kept a job. But on the weekend he turned into the alcoholic. And I don't have that trait.
Right.
I don't drink. I have had my share of liquor, but I gave that up over 30 years ago now.
Huh?
So that I don't have that about my father, but the thing that I enjoyed, he cared about us regardless of what went on. He still loved us growing up. He was still my father. And it took me a long time to realize that, like I said, I was an adult when I got closer to him and understood him. And that was about it. I miss it. I really miss it.
Same. And I know we can't get them forever.
Right.
But sometimes I like I said, I was young, but I just wish he could have seen what I became.
Right.
Because a lot of who I am is through you, but I see a lot of things that, like as you talk about, like, man, that's where it comes from. And I'll say, because answering the same question since you're here, how am I like you and what ways are we different? To be honest, I don't know if there's a lot of ways we differ, because like I said, if you looking at this right now, his twin, if it's any of his kids he couldn't deny, I would be the one. But being present, that's what I took from you the most. It was that I never went without attention. Like, even I've seen days because You went and taught school for what, 35 years, 32, 35 years, and to deal with thousands of other people's kids and getting them prepared to be young adults and go on into their life, and then come home to take care of your kids. And then later on in aspects, he became my coach at basketball. So that's another thing, like, like where you're dealing with more kids. Like he would go to the high school, teach, come to the elementary school with us, coach basketball, then take us home and turn on the dad duties. Like, so I as I got older and I started to see those things, that's what I say. The balancing act, I will say, is the ways that we are most alike. How you were there, being present. That's the one thing I can say I do for my kids. I'm there. I'm there and not only because, but I had the example of what it should look like in my life every day. Had that example. Before I wrap, I got one more for you, Pop.
Okay.
What does being a father mean to you?
Oh, well, you get to enjoy your kids, for one, to enjoy seeing them growing up. And then me, I have grandkids, to see them, the generation will continue long after I'm gone.
Yep.
Long after I'm gone. So I enjoy being a granddad. I have great grandkids as well. So I enjoy all of those things. I know that there will always be an Anthony somewhere running around here.
That's one thing when I had my son, I was for sure that I didn't. His name could have been first, middle name could have been whatever, but the last name had to be yours.
Yeah.
It had to be yours.
We will be around a long time, long after I'm gone.
Yep. Lewis is technically the last Anthony right now, technically. But as we progress, like I said, who knows? Some other family members might, and that'd be great. That would be great. Like you said, that name I'd love for it to keep going. I would love for it to keep going. And to answer it before we get out of here, answer the same question. What does it mean? What does being a father mean to me? It's a lot of long nights sometimes. That's a given. Especially as they get older, you probably got those calls in the middle of the night, Daddy, I need something, or but what just being there, like
enjoying,
definitely.
That
what you just said, because I look and it sounds silly now as I say it, but I look at Lewis and Ava's hands, their little hands and their feet. And I think like this little person has their own identity and ideas and everything. And I'm here to help it develop into something good. And I cannot wait to see that.
Right.
Like that.
See what they're gonna be.
That probably would be the biggest reward that I get. If I could get two good human beings that I raised, that would be a reward enough for me. You could go out because we talking with my son all the time because he's a bigger 18 months old. I'm raising the next. So my son gonna be better than Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback. But in actuality, I just want him to be a good human being, and you could get a job. Just be the best at that. I won't put the pressure on you to be some star athlete or something like that, or try to live through you or anything like that. I just want you to be a good human. Yep. Just be you and be the best at that. That's what it means. Being a father means to me. It's just helping them develop into a good human being is probably what I would say that means to me. Helping them develop. And with that, we're going to wrap up a little, and we be back whenever we get these opportunities to sit down. And like I said, we didn't get into everything. We didn't want to give it all away at once, but we will be giving out, we're not lawyers here. We just, what we've been through in these courtrooms, we will give to you so that you can use it. Somebody can use this. Like I said earlier in this one, try to keep that attitude good when you go in there. Keep your head up. Don't be disappointed. I know it sucks to be in that courtroom to fight for something that you know is yours. But at the end of the day, if you show that you want to be there, that's how they're going to treat you. Like you want to be there. Like, I'm not here to just pay a lawyer and be done with it. And I'm done with my kid. No, that's don't take that approach. I'm here because I want to be in my child's life every day or as much as I can, and you'll get those results. I'll say that you'll get those results. Pop, you want anything before we get out of here?
I know we touched on a lot of tough topics today, get a lot of subjects, but we want to get our focus back on dads, fathers. You have rights.
Yes.
You have rights.
Yes.
That's what we want to focus on in the future.
Yes.
That you have rights.
A lot of us don't. We'll say that, but we don't know that.
Mm-hmm. And we always think that, well, they gonna favor with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
You have rights, so utilize those, and we're gonna point you in some directions where you can go for some help.
If I get lucky, I'll get my lawyer to sit down here. He's a busy dude, but if I get lucky, I get him to sit down here and ask him a couple questions. And again, with that even being said, lawyers they want to be paid for their time. So I said, if I get lucky, Mark's a good dude. So if I get him in here, he said he wouldn't mind if he got the time. So if I get him to sit down, I definitely. If anybody's watching this, leave your questions in the comment section. If you got any questions about legal advice on what you should be doing when you go to court, or if you need a pointing in the right direction on who you need to talk to, because in the state of Illinois, they have the land of Lincoln. And if your child's mother makes that phone call before you do, you won't get that help from them. They won't even tell you where you can go to get help. They just stop talking to you because they're representing a client who's going to be against you, essentially. So if you need some help on who you can reach out to get that help, leave those questions in the comments. I'll be answering as often as I can. As often as I can.
Spread the word around for us.
Yes, please do. Please do. Like, share, subscribe. We're not going anywhere. Like I said, we're going to be doing this as often as we can. We're just here to help. We're here to help, spread the information, and hopefully we can help some dads out there.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just one, we did what we set out to do. Even if it's just one.
Look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yes, sir. You got
Send in your comments or suggestions that you may have for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot to. Yeah, absolutely. If you know some going forward, I'm glad you said that. Going forward, we're going to be trying to sit down with some dads. We get you down here and ask you some of these questions and see what it is, what it's like. Because again, these are just two perspectives of being fathers. Like it's a lot that goes into this. It's a lot, and like you said, it takes a village. So we want to kind of be a part of your little village. If we can help somebody, we want to do that. We want to do that. With that being said, you guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, night, wherever time you may be watching this. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on Father to Father Podcast.